And we are live.
Oh, nice.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome.
Just
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Joe Knows. I'm here with Joe Babi, and he is going to talk about SEO today.
how you doing, Joe?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Good.
Yeah.
So, a little bit about myself. I started with an accounting degree. I read a book on how to develop an iPhone app. Did that, and oh,
So I'm just checking out.
oh, okay, cool. And developed an iPhone app. Then learned how, and then once I developed it, I racked up debt, borrowed money from one of my brothers, and once it was out, I was like, oh crap, I got to market it. So I actually learned how to do SEO from that because it was the cheapest way for me to do it.
Yeah.
And I could
Do
do
it
it on my
yourself.
own.
Yes.
And so I did that, and it ended up making the number 12 utilities app in the United States.
So, what was that app?
It was an alarm clock where you had to play a game to turn it off. So
Oh, okay.
zero snooze, you wake up and you had to play tic tac toe, and we had programmed it so that at the very least, the first two games would be a Cats game.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was impossible to win. Which means that
That's
at a
hilarious.
minimum, you're playing 3 games.
That is awesome.
The second game was like a lever game.
Okay.
So like you had a number, and the number was you had 4 levers, 1 through
Okay.
4.
Yeah.
And they were all separate colors. And then it would present a number in a color, and so that you're aware and awake,
Oh,
you
yeah.
would have to pull the right number and not the right color. And then
Okay.
once you pulled one, they shuffled. So now
I
you had
see.
to
Really do
identify
it.
number, figure out where the number
And
is.
people wanted this?
Yeah, it was,
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
surprising. Actually, one time I was at a hookah bar, and I overheard some dude behind me talking about how like he had just broken up with his girlfriend because he couldn't turn off his alarm clock because of this new app. And I happened to be right
That is
there.
hilarious.
And so he's like, "Yeah, we broke up." And I turned around and I was like, "Hey, what was the name of that app?" And he was what do you call it? He named my app, and then I like before I said anything, I kind of sized him up, and he was much bigger than me, and so I decided not to tell him.
I'm not gonna download that app. That
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
This is-
that app sounds terrible. I
Yeah.
hate that guy. So I didn't tell him that it was me.
Yeah. That's too funny.
So yeah, so now I've been doing SEO for 8 years now, and it's a lot of fun. I went back to General Motors for a little bit, and then like 4 years ago, I decided this is what I'm doing full time.
Okay, nice. So why don't you explain to people they don't really understand what SEO is, and then maybe how you guys approach it from your end?
Yeah. So what SEO is, and it stands for search engine optimization. It is literally tailoring or optimizing your website for Google to be able to understand um, what your website is about. That's how Google decides what keywords that you're ranking for, or what phrases. And so what we do is we go through the web. Well, first we interview our clients, which I think most SEOs just don't do, and we actually try to understand who your customer is, right? What are the problems they're commonly having? Where do they hang out? What kind of topics are they interested in? Because what we want to do is tailor your website to that customer, because like yes, Google is important, but at the end of the day, they're not buying from you, they're just bringing you the traffic,
Right.
right? And so let's say that like for you, you're doing estate planning and probably your demographic is a little bit older, right?
Typically, that's what it's supposed to be, but that's where you come in,
Yeah.
is you're interviewing me. I go after people that are younger, which
Okay.
is different.
And so I guess what would
My target demographic would be a newlywed couple. They just bought a house, just had a baby.
Got it. Okay. So that's the thing is, so what you would do is you would start discussing topics on your blog, like estate planning for newlyweds,
Right.
or you know first 10 things you should do after getting engaged, and an estate plan would probably be part of that list,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
But just because you don't the other 9 things aren't something that you particularly do, it's something that they're interested in.
Right.
And because you gave them this information up front,
Yep.
they trust you, they're more likely to contact you.
Yeah.
So that's where we try to catch people at the top of the funnel where they're just seeking information, but
Okay.
if you're the information provider, they're naturally going to want to come
Right.
back and get more information from you until they actually finally contact you.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And that's why, like, for me, I'm different. And that's why where you stated that kind of piqued my interest, because normally most estate planning attorneys go after the people that want their services. I want to help people out from the beginning, right? Like, okay, let's say somebody's single, they don't have a house, they don't have a kid. There are some estate planning tools that they need. Like, if you get sick, who's going to pay your bills? If you get sick, who's going to take care of you, make medical decisions for you? But for me to try to sell that to somebody, it's difficult to do. But as soon as you get married, now somebody's relying on you. Or you have a baby, now definitely need to find who's going to take care of the baby if something happens to you. Or if you buy a house, that's usually a lot of people's biggest asset that they have. So for me, I feel like that's the time where you should just do it, because now you're covered. It's like getting homeowners insurance when you buy a house. You have to do it. Like, just do it. And then you can update it as you go. Things change, you can update it, but at least you're covered, right? Like,
Yeah.
instead of waiting until, oh, hey, I'm 65 and I found out, I have a terminal illness or something like that, then you need it. You might not be able to get it at that time. So what if somebody develops Alzheimer's? They can't legally sign the documents. Like, you're
Yeah.
too late, right? You waited too long.
So you and I are in a similar situation, right? And I always compare this to other people with SEO is, the best time to start a savings account isn't when you need it, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so it's the same for SEO, because it takes 3 to 6 months for it to start reaping results.
Yep.
It's the same with estate planning. You can't you need
Right.
needed
Yeah.
to do the estate
Yes.
plan before the deathbed,
Yes.
essentially,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Or before
Yes.
whatever,
Before the issue comes up.
before
Yes.
the issue comes up. Same with SEO, right? You're
Yes.
paying all this money to Facebook or Google,
Yeah.
and they keep raising the cost on you.
Yep.
You can't just say, well, I'm going to start SEO now and avoid all this cost. Well, you've got at least 3 to 6 more months of carrying that
Right.
cost.
Right. And that's funny, because so I do a whole bunch of marketing for my businesses. I do Google pay-per-click. I do SEO, which I started recently. I do YouTube ads. I do Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So I'm like all over the place. But I have one particular one that I spend the least amount of money on. I get the best ROI on it. And people are like, why don't you just only do that? And I'm like, what happens if they shut that off?
Yeah.
Like, what happens if tomorrow that goes away and I can't do that thing anymore? I need to build everything else up so that I have a base of stuff going on. And that, like the SEO, it takes time for that to start working,
100%.
and that's one of the more important aspects, that if you need to do some type of marketing, that's a good ROI on it typically, right? But you have to get started on it early enough and wait and be patient with it for it to work.
Yeah, the way I usually, and like I just bought a house recently, and so
Okay.
the way I usually wrap it up to people is SEO is like paying off a mortgage, while doing Facebook ads or Google ads is like paying rent, right? Because once you stop paying, you have nothing.
Yes. Right.
Right. And then on top of that, you can't really control, to your point, is if they shut you down. So I actually recently have a buddy that runs a company called Brand Featured.
Okay.
And so all of his marketing dollars goes to Facebook.
Okay.
And Facebook shut him down for 2 months.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what happened with a friend of mine too.
Yeah. And so he couldn't do anything about that. And good luck contacting Facebook.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Good
they don't
luck.
have a number. They call you.
Yeah.
They call you if they feel like for example, for me, the amount of money. So I joke around with my friends because they were like, I keep seeing all of your ads and all this stuff. I was like, yeah. And then they were like, I was going to report it. I was like, good luck. I pay so much money to Zuckerberg that, whatever. So
he was spending like 40 to 80 grand a month on his Facebook ads.
Oh yeah. See, so like if he would have stopped on his own, they would have called him.
Oh yeah, well, they stopped him. Yeah,
no, I know, but if he would have stopped, they would have called him the next day. But they stop. You have no way of contacting them.
Yeah, exactly. It's
so bad.
It's crazy.
So really quick, one of the guys, Keith Stonehouse, said, "Are you guys comparing SEO to estate planning?" Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Yeah. So we kind of are. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In terms of, and I would say, and maybe this is too big of a jump, but estate planning is the instructions on how your assets and your health and people take care of you. Well, SEO is essentially the instructions to Google on here's what to crawl, here's what these pages are, here's what this is about, this is what this is about, and you're giving those instructions to Google and actually letting them know and identifying
Right.
what's important
Yeah.
on your website, right?
Yeah.
So I think it might be a little bit big of a jump.
It's all right. It's good. It's good. SEO, you need to use it to keep your business alive. Estate planning, you use it to keep your legacy alive. So
Yes.
let's do that.
Let's do that.
So what are some key points, or maybe like, let's say your target demographic, what do they need to do to prepare to come to you, or do they need to have anything prepared, or what is the extent of what they should have when they come to you to seek your services?
Yeah, so I would say I would say at the very least, and it's probably the thing that most customers don't think about up front, and it takes them a while to think about it, is who is your target customer? Who is what is your goal with SEO? Because there's some companies that we go to that are so big and they just want people to know their name.
Oh yeah.
Where, if you're an insurance agent, you want calls.
Yes.
Just give me
Right.
as many calls as I can
Exactly.
get.
Yep.
And so knowing that and knowing who your customer is, from there we do all the heavy lifting, right?
Okay.
And I would say at least know like bonus points if you know what your website was built on. So if it's like built on Squarespace or Wix, typically we would tell you like we got to rebuild the whole website because
Okay.
those typically don't load as fast, they don't get crawled as well. You want to be on WordPress or a custom developed website,
Yeah.
or we're starting to play with Webflow and it seems very promising.
Okay.
So I would say,
Is that a new?
yeah,
Oh,
Webflow is like
okay.
a new visual builder, but it's actually used.
Okay.
It uses tech that Wix
Awesome.
and
I
Squarespace
stopped.
don't use.
I stopped. So my background with engineering and all that stuff. So in high school, I had some HTML coding experience, which was cool, but I wish I would have had more, because in engineering school, as soon as you got to like the next level after the surface, I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like, I don't have time. It's like a new language. I don't have time to learn this language. Just give me the logic
I
part of
think
it.
at a baseline, most people in our generation has some type of HTML practice
Yeah.
because of MySpace. Everyone
Probably
wanted to
yes.
change their
Yes.
background
Yeah.
on
Yes.
MySpace.
Exactly. There you go. That's a good one. Yes. Yeah. That's funny. No. Yeah. I mean, we got into it. I mean, the .com boom was in '99. We had a computer at our house. We were working on just basic stuff in like 2001, 2002. And then after that, it's like, look how far we've come, where I used to leave my computer on at work overnight because it would take a half an hour to 45 minutes to load up
Oh, jeez.
in the morning. I'm like, this is such a waste of time. I'm just going to turn the monitor off. So when I come back, I can just take 5 minutes for it to. Now I have a client that calls me and says, I need you to send me an email. I can turn my laptop on from being powered off with the hard drive encrypted, get and send the email out in 30 seconds. Like,
Oh yeah,
it's just crazy. So
it's just it's
yeah.
ridiculous. We didn't get the internet in my household. We had one computer,
Okay.
and we didn't get the internet until like 2001.
Oh yeah. It's like, yeah. You're like, nope, we don't need it. Nope, we
Yeah,
don't need it. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, we
exactly.
do need
Yeah,
it.
we do
Look at
need
where
it.
I'm at now.
Yeah,
If you would have
exactly.
gave me internet sooner, I would have been able to be better
I
at it.
probably would have learned how to code.
Yeah. It's coding is very difficult. But okay, so now you have a client, they come, they tell you their demographic.
Mhm.
Maybe they do or don't have a website. You probably set them up with that. What are the different, like, not necessarily packages, but the different areas that you can add on to helping a client out?
Yeah, so there's a few ways. So after knowing your demographic is great. We actually audit the full website, right? We're checking things. How quickly does your website load? Because that like pisses off people on
It
phones.
does.
How how's your website structured,
Yeah.
right? What are the actual structure on per page and the overall website, the blueprint.
Okay.
And then from there, from a package perspective, sometimes that's all people have us do is come in, fix our website, structure it well, And then others have active SEO where we're constantly blogging for them. We're actually doing the
Okay.
research of like what your demographic
I
is looking
see.
for
Okay.
online, because Google isn't a search engine; it's an answering machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
When's the last time you went to Google and just typed in red shoes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Right.
no, never.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people aren't searching for estate planning per se.
Oh
They're-
yeah, they have no idea.
They're probably searching for that.
How do I do blah blah? How do
Yeah,
I protect my children if I pass away?
exactly. Right.
Yep.
They mistakenly went on a WebMD. So it probably either told them they were dying or had
Yeah.
cancer.
Yeah.
And they're
There you
like,
go.
all right, how do I get my money to my kids?
Oh
Right.
my gosh! And so I should put backlinks on WebMD.
Yeah,
There you go. Yeah.
exactly.
Everything goes. Hey, I coughed yesterday. You're dying. Talk to Joe.
Yeah, exactly. So we do that, and then if you're a local business, what we do is we actually distribute your information across the web. So like Apple Maps, Yelp, Squarespace, and I know
Okay.
that like no one's going to Squarespace and looking for a patent attorney,
Right.
but what Google is doing is actually crawling all these platforms, collecting the data, and if it's not identical to your Google business profile, or yeah, Google business profile, that's what it's called now. They actually lose confidence in your
Oh,
listing.
I see. Okay.
And so they're like, well, we don't know if this
This is
information
right,
is
yes.
correct or the information out there is correct.
Okay.
So what we do is we actually synchronize all that information,
Okay.
and then we optimize your Google business profile. And then we actually post daily on that profile every day
I
as
see.
if it were like a social media profile. So Google can see the activity.
Okay.
We geotag those images in the area that you want to serve.
Okay.
And then we actually respond to every review within 24 hours by hand.
I see. Okay.
So it's not just this regurgitated automated system that
Yeah,
says if
yeah.
it's 5 stars, say blah blah blah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, I understand all of the stuff that you're saying and how
Yeah.
beneficial it is. Maybe why is that important?
So it's important, and like I mean, I'm assuming most of the demographic here watching is Chaldean, right?
I would say probably.
Yeah. So it's the equivalent of like what the Chaldean community does, where it's like, hey, do you know so and so? And if
Okay.
everyone's saying the same thing about so and so, that person who's asking is more confident that that person is
I see.
who they say
Okay.
they are, right? Well, that's how citations work.
Okay.
Where Google's saying, well, who's so and so? Who's so and so? Who's so and so? And then now it's got all this information, and it's like, oh, cool. All right, I'm confident in this.
Right. Yep.
And so that's how that works,
Yeah.
right? And then the last aspect of SEO that we could help with and is backlinks. And so what
Okay.
backlinks are is like if you're familiar with, if you've ever been in school and you had to write a paper, right? When you write a paper, at least for my age, we had to cite the different books that we got it from, right?
Yep.
And so the more citations a book gets, the more authoritative it is.
Okay.
Well, Google works the same way. So if a website links from their site to your site, Google looks at that as, oh, this person is giving a citation to
I see.
your
Okay.
website, and it actually builds your authority. That's actually how they built it in school. Is they were writing term papers, and they noticed that certain papers got majority of the citations
I see.
and prompted the authority of that paper. Well, they're like, well, why can't we apply that to websites?
Okay. That
And
makes
so
sense.
that's how that works, right? So it's one of the 3 pillars of SEO.
Okay. What are the other pillars?
The content
Okay.
is the second pillar,
Okay.
and then the technical SEO, the structure that I was telling you about, is the
Okay.
third pillar.
Okay.
So we handle all 3 of those pillars, and we're white gloves. So when people say, "Oh no, I am not blogging," I'm like, "No, you're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are.
We're gonna do it.
You're
Yeah.
just telling us
What
what
topics
what-
or what?
or no, we're telling
what
you the
the demographic-
topics. Give us your opinion and your information,
Yeah.
whatever information you want us to add.
Yeah.
And then we'll write it. So we get expert writers. So for like when I worked with Sean Springs,
Yeah.
he started a helmet. Oh, it's really
What-
more of a padding.
Why don't you tell people who Sean Springs is?
So Sean Springs is a Pro Bowl NFL cornerback who played for Seattle, the Patriots, and the Washington Redskins. And so during my time at General Motors, I had the opportunity to meet him.
Okay.
And he has a company where it's a type of padding where if you hit it, it's like a miniature airbag,
Okay.
and it disperses the air depending on how hard you're getting hit.
I see.
So if you're getting hit hard, the air holds harder. If you're getting hit soft, and then it actually regenerates. So like when you I didn't know this until I started working with them.
Yeah.
If your child has a foam helmet,
Okay.
once they fall, that helmet is no longer good. It's
I see.
compromised.
Yeah.
His helmets, They
Yeah,
they
they-
inflate back up,
yeah.
and it's perfect.
Nice.
You never got hit. So, anyways, for him that
That's
was
awesome.
very strategic because when we first started, he was mostly in helmets for the NFL,
Okay.
and so we had to find a writer that could talk about concussions, padding, science. We ended up sourcing a neuroscientist from the UCLA. He
Okay.
has he's studying to get his doctorate.
Yeah,
And so we actually had him writing. And
I see.
so we were able to find a writer to do that, but like no one on his team could talk that medical side of it. And so because he was on the science end, because he had the medical science background, he
Okay.
could also understand their engineering background
I
and
see.
kind of married it. So we do a lot of those things. Or like if like we also help in the cannabis space. And so
Okay.
we actually poach writers from like very authoritative websites like a Proper High or WikiLeaf, and these are like big names inside that industry
Okay.
when it comes to blogging. And we actually poach their writers, and their writers actually write for our clients.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that blogging definitely helps. Uh, it's hard. You don't have time, and being the white glove and finding the right people to do it. Because, like for me as an attorney, I'm like, who's going to be able to write my stuff for me? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
exactly.
Like you're like, okay, it's not something that is a generally known concept that doesn't require a higher level of understanding, right? Like if I'm talking about like backpacks, like you can find somebody that's like super experienced with it, but you don't need that much with that category, right?
Yeah,
With the helmets, you need that, right?
yeah.
Because that's a safety thing. The more that they understand about the technology and the health and how they work together and all that stuff, that's better, right? Like I'm not going to be able to write that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and to not even make claims that they could get sued over.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yes, right.
So we couldn't mention that it prevents concussions.
Right.
Right.
You're like
We can only
it
say it helps.
possibly it
It helps.
reduces.
Yeah, exactly. It helps the concussion events.
Yes, yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, that's when the lawyer comes in.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the lawyer had a field day with us the first month.
Yeah. You're like, it might possibly, maybe, kind of work, but I don't know. Asterisk.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Mr. Marketing guy that loves to exaggerate it. So it's like,
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like, even for me, so I have a compliance department and I know how to write so that I can stay good with the legal lees, right? Before Thanksgiving break, I was going on vacation, so I wanted to finalize like all of these landing pages and videos and all this stuff. So I submitted like 50 things to compliance.
Mhm.
And out of those 50 things, they only had one word that they because I kind of didn't have it scripted out. I was just like, hey, let's shoot this and just spewed stuff off the top of my head. Even everything got approved on the first try except for one thing, and it was like borderline. Like, really, you guys are gonna make me
Oh,
change
geez.
the wording on that? But whatever. We took care
Yeah,
of it.
it's tough. I mean, lawyers and financial planners,
Yeah.
they have the toughest time because they can only make certain claims.
Yes.
And if they do it, they get or mortgage brokers too, for that
Right.
instance.
Yeah.
Also, so like when I was working with Amber Valley, like when we rebuilt his website after the whole U mortgage thing,
Yeah.
we had to throw it through their compliance, and they had a field day. I was like,
Oh yeah.
whoa, we didn't know any of this.
Yeah. Yep.
Beforehand, right? Like
Yep.
a warning would have been nice beforehand. And so we had to like rewrite everything on the website.
I tell everybody, it sounds so bad because I have to do stuff with compliance. They're like tying my hands behind my back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard for me sometimes. I'm like, can you just like, I'm gonna say something and you're gonna take it the wrong way, but just like listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because I can't say what I want to say.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, exactly. You gave them
like
boundaries.
I'm trying to
like,
help you
here's
out.
The target.
I'm trying to help you out. Just trust me. I feel like Aladdin on the magic carpet when he's talking to Jasmine. He's like, "Do you trust me?"
Oh yeah.
I just need you to trust me. All right, I'm trying to take care of you. I'm not trying to do anything shady. Like just get on the magic carpet.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take you for a ride.
Yeah,
Let's go.
exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard because you can't say this. I can't market two of my businesses together in the same marketing platform.
Yeah.
I'm like, that not that many people have all the credentials that I have. So now you're already right away tying my hands behind my back.
Yeah.
So now I have to get creative with my marketing where I say, okay, well, I'm going to target this person for this business. And then after they see that, now I can show them this business,
Yeah.
right? Like separately, but to the same person.
Yeah.
It's not as effective, but it's better than nothing. So I'm just playing by the rules.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's just, I'm lucky I'm in an industry where I can pretty much make any claim. And,
Yes.
But, but I obviously have to follow through with it. But,
Right. Yeah.
I-
You can just be like, I'm
but
going to
like,
get you
here's the thing, no one's
1,000%
gonna,
ROI.
yeah, exactly. No one's gonna slap my wrist or
Yeah,
take me to
yeah.
jail or take a license from me.
Yes.
I didn't even
yes.
go to school for this.
No, exactly. No, it's they do it for the client.
Yeah.
So it's looking out for the client, which I understand, because there's a lot of people that might be in my position that might do the stuff that they're trying to prevent. So
Yeah, and it's a gift and a curse in my industry
yes,
too, right? Because like a lot of people get fooled, or or um, or get bad information from SEOs,
oh
right?
yes, yep,
And so they don't understand that like one of the biggest gripes and how we're different is a lot of people are like, well, I don't know what my SEO is doing. I don't know what my scope of work is.
it's part of it. It's not just knowing the scope of work; they don't understand it, right? Like for me, I try to explain to people like what is the difference between a trust and a will,
Mm-hmm.
and why they need this document versus this document, and how it works
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And then they get 250 pages worth of documents, and they have to read it to see, if that's what they want.
Yeah.
They don't know what it is.
Well, yeah, I get that, but like it's even
Right.
worse in the SEO industry because like, so one, they don't know what the scope of work is. Because when I come in, I was like, well, so what's your SEO actually doing?
Yeah.
No, well, SEO. Like, yeah, I get that. That's very broad. That's like
Yeah.
coming to you and he's like, well, he's lawyering.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I'm lawyering.
So that's like the first red flag. The second red flag is like, okay, cool. What did they do this month? Well, I don't know. They did SEO.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
And so like that's where we kind of differentiate ourselves is like we actually give you a report every Tuesday to tell you what we did last week, what we're doing this week,
Okay.
and then what's still open from you for us to continue doing our job. Right. And I think that's the kind of thing that has kept clients on for 3, 4, 5 years. Right.
Okay.
I mean, Signature Insurance, Zaid is one of the first guys to
Yeah.
trust me. He's been with me for 7 years now.
Okay.
Right. And it's because we're so transparent and like when things go awry, we don't hide it. We actually come to you right away and say, hey, here's what's going on.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing to
Yep.
proactively combat this. Right.
Okay.
And so a lot of people, I would always ask that if you don't use us and you decide to use someone else, go to them. Hey, what's my scope? What are
Right.
my deliverables every month?
Yep.
Because SEO is a monthly thing. It's
Yeah.
not a
Yeah. You
set
have to keep doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that I think that's what differentiates us. And I think if there
You have
was
to-
a governing body,
Yeah.
people wouldn't be able to get away with it.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. I tell my wife all the time. I'm like, especially in politics, you have two different ends of the spectrum, right? Like one side says we should be able to do whatever we want, right? Like it's a free country, capitalism. If I want to sell you this random thing that's not good for you, but you want to buy it, great.
Yeah.
And the other side is like, no, man, you're killing people. Like we need to watch out for them. You can't sell that thing. Like
Yeah.
people, 90% of people die. You're like, well, I don't care. I'm making money.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
So it's like you got to be somewhere in the middle. Like you can
Exactly.
do up to this much, right? Like we're gonna sell you, so if maybe 0.5% of people have an injury or whatever, if they
Yeah.
don't use it the right way or they don't follow their directions or whatever, and it's useful, or like I don't know what the boundary level is, but it's not everybody that uses the thing is gonna die, but everybody wants it. Like
Yeah,
I'm gonna make so much
100
money.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. 100%.
So no, there has to be some kind of governing like authority that says, hey, if you're in this industry, you got to do A, B, and C,
Yeah.
and be transparent of what you're doing, and so people know what they're getting out of it. That's what I do. in my contract with my clients, I say you're getting these 10 documents.
Yeah.
It's like very specific, like you're getting a will, a trust, power of attorney, whatever. You have 3 businesses. I'm doing work for 3 businesses. So if you come back to me tomorrow and say I have a 4th business, that's not part of the contract. I'm going to charge you for it because I told you
Yeah.
to give me all of the stuff now. But like in the future, you open up a new business, you get a new house or whatever, you want to make changes, then I contract that out. Like you're getting this thing that you know exactly what you're getting, and I'm
Mhm.
going to deliver that thing.
Yeah.
And it's really hard with some other uh, industries to actually say what the deliverables are. Like you can put stuff down, but then it doesn't translate the same way, right? Like you're going to tell me I'm going to do 5 backlinks a month or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I don't know the numbers. I don't know. I'm just coming up with a random thing. And like, okay, to me, I'm like, that's cool, but I don't know what that means. You
Yeah.
know, like you're gonna write down and you're gonna, but it's because it's an intermediate type of thing, right? Like you're trying to give me stuff because you can't guarantee I'm gonna get 10 clients in a month, right? But you can say I'm doing this amount of work and you can see how much work I'm doing, but you can't really sell that thing because you don't know, like the client
Yeah.
doesn't understand it.
Exactly. I mean, I've got one client that gets 330,000 visitors to their month or to their
Oh,
website a month,
wow.
right? And they're ecstatic about it. But I also have clients that get 500 people to their website a month, and they're ecstatic because
Yes.
those people are contacting them,
Yeah.
and they're in a niche where not very many people are searching for it,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like one contract is worth like $250,000, and it's like, oh, cool, I paid for Joe for a while,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Keep
Right.
doing what you're doing.
Yes.
So yeah, that's part of it. And then like kind of to your point, it was like, bringing new things to you. So like um half my team's in Mexico,
Okay.
and so in the West Coast it's pretty big deal that my team knows Spanish and SEO.
Right.
And so we
Yes.
can do the Spanish SEO. We hand translate everything. All my
Okay.
employees went to elementary school. Their elementary school experience was in English.
I see.
So if you get on the phone with them, you wouldn't realize that they're in Mexico, but they speak fluent Spanish, fluent English, and but
Nice.
speak both the slangs.
See, that's a good aspect because people, you need that translation. Like I used to, like I can speak Chaldean, I can understand it really well, but I don't speak it as well. But I don't understand Arabic at all. So I need to rely on somebody to translate for me
Mm-hmm.
because I can't do it. So, but which I have people to do that for me. But it's like good to know that you have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Google Translate's going to miss the nuance. They're going
Oh
to miss the
yeah.
slang, right?
Yes.
Like if someone is saying something and they're being sarcastic in Arabic,
Oh yeah.
Google's not going to pick that up. But
Exactly.
your buddy is like, he's pretty pissed,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can tell you that, right?
Yes.
Even though you probably wouldn't have picked up
Exactly. Right.
on it. So yeah, no,
That's super
definitely. So, but anyway, so we do that for clients, and then like they're like, well, why is it double the cost? Well, it's essentially 2 websites now.
Yeah.
We've got a Spanish one and an English one, so it's twice the work,
Right.
right? Same as, well, yeah, I get that, this business is also the same type of business, just somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still twice the work. They're
Yep.
still separate entities, and
Right.
that's how the language SEO works,
Okay.
right?
Yep. No, yeah, definitely. It's all about the labor, right? Like how much do you need to do to get that result?
Yeah,
And you're gonna have to
exactly.
do double the work now because you can't just click translate and then 5 seconds later, like everything is done. It's not, that does not how it works.
Yeah,
So
exactly. It's just not how it
yeah.
works.
Yeah. Versus like, if you have some kind of template where you just have to like a purchase agreement for real estate or something like that, you need to know the names of the people selling, the names of people buying, what's the down payment, what's whatever. So it's like, it's the same general concept. You check which box that you're going to be using. You can duplicate it. If you mess up, you can redo it in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then like, so here's the thing: is like to bring up Arabic. So like, I manage the website for St. Joseph and St. George,
Okay.
and so we're actually having some of the parishioners translate everything into Arabic, and we're actually going to translate the website to Arabic. But the issue is not every font comes with Arabic.
Oh,
So now we're gonna have to find a font and could potentially have to rebuild the whole website for them to fit Arabic. And it's
That
like,
is,
well, it's
yeah.
like whatever, it's
Yeah.
cool. I do it, I do
Yeah.
it as kind of like my tithe, but
Right.
it's just interesting to like it was a new problem that we hadn't ran into.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You always come up with that stuff.
Oh geez.
It's always it's not gonna be like, oh yeah, everything is running smoothly all
No,
the time. Yeah.
exactly. If something can go wrong, it will.
Yes, I agree. So what is maybe a job that you're like not necessarily the most proud of, but that you enjoyed working on or something like
That I
that?
enjoyed working. I would actually say the St. George website. So I had quit my job in 2019. COVID hits. I get a call from Steve Kassab, who volunteers a lot at St. George,
Okay.
and he's like, "Joe, we need a website, and we need it yesterday, and it has to be able to stream YouTube Live for Mass."
Oh yeah.
So within 2 weeks, completely develop, redesign the website content, and now it's like the core of how they do their catechism signups, communion
Oh
signups.
yes.
It's how they sell
Everything you have
tickets
to
to
do
their,
everything electronically.
and so it went from Father Fawaz saying like, oh, this is just a COVID thing to, okay, this is a pillar of how
Yes.
we connect with parishioners, right?
Yep.
So Steve handles the app. He uses like a third party service that
Okay.
kind of cookie cutters an app for you,
Yeah.
and then I manage the website.
Okay.
And so I would say that's what I'm most proud of, because like now I have a passion for like giving back to the community.
Right.
So that's why I ended up doing St. Joseph's. I'm starting to work with the Chaldean, the Calc, uh, the
I don't know the acronym
yeah,
stands. Yeah.
it's the Chaldean Women's Charity,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That they donate to charitable
Yep.
areas, and I noticed that their website was off, so I actually had a call with them this morning, like, hey, what can I do for you guys?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so giving back to the community like that, and then like helping out, like I sponsored a soccer team out in Iraq and in
Oh.
Kawa
Okay.
through Shlama,
Okay. Yeah.
which was like
Yeah.
really really cool.
That is cool.
And so like being able to be in the position coming from like General Motors and thinking like, oh, what the hell am I doing with my
Quitting
life?
your job and just starting is very difficult to
Yeah,
do.
and then
I
to
can attest to that as an entrepreneur. Like this is my mentality, right? Because you don't understand until you get into it. Like we can relate to each other and say like, oh, you have 10 people working with you. Like I understand
yeah
what you've done to get to that point, right?
yeah
Versus somebody else is like, it's only 10 people.
yeah exactly
Like the people that have not gone through the entrepreneurial phase of like life of doing
oh
something, right? Like
geez
people underestimate how difficult it is.
yeah, you know what it is, it's like when you hire people, it's like you're letting go of a task that you used to do, but that task feels like a friend, and you almost
Oh
miss
yes.
doing it.
Yeah.
And like sometimes you'll at least in the beginning for me, when I like hire someone to take over something for me, um I almost want to just do it for them. Like, no, no, no. Like,
Yeah.
but you have
Yeah.
to just lay back and
I
not
know.
do it, and you got to let go of it,
I
right?
know.
So you can focus on bigger, better things.
Yes.
And it's tough. And then like being able to bring on another head and thinking like most people don't realize, but like as an entrepreneur, when you hire someone, that's someone that's relying on you now, and like you need to take care of them.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's just an added pressure.
You have to take care of them. They have to take care of you.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh,
yeah.
100%. It's a two-way street,
Yes.
but like
Yeah.
you care about these people.
Yes, you
You
do.
talk to them every
I
day.
know. I know. And I'm lucky I have a good assistant with me, or actually good assistants uh, that take care of me. So I'm
I've only gotten
lucky.
to meet
I'm so
Cynthia, so
lucky.
Cynthia, you're doing
Yes.
great.
Yeah, she's doing great. She's a great employee.
She's a
So
rock star.
yeah, she is. Um, yeah. So what else do you got for us with SEO?
I guess in terms of like, I guess what I would probably would want to leave with is like, all right, cool. You've decided to take the leap, invest into your digital presence in terms of a website. Maybe some like just a checklist of like things that you should ask or
Okay.
check while it's being built, right?
Do you have a checklist?
I do have a checklist.
Okay.
Yes. So
Send it to me,
I will.
and then we can put it up with
100%.
the recording of this. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so part of the checklist is one, make sure that your website metadata is correct. So metadata is the actual what your listing looks like on Google, right?
Okay.
So I noticed with your website,
Yeah.
when you look at your homepage on Google, it says SEO crawler best template, and it's like that says nothing about
I see.
patents,
Yeah.
estate planning, any of it, right?
Okay.
So you want to check that. So that's something like a regular web dev company wouldn't look after.
Okay.
Another thing is you want to make sure that it loads quick. So like good websites load under 4 seconds, great websites load under 2 seconds. If you're loading longer than that, you're likely frustrating somebody.
Yep.
And they're probably, before the page loads, they're going to back out.
Yeah.
So there's like a study that Amazon lost millions and millions of dollars because it loaded a half second too slow. Obviously, you're not getting the amount of traffic they're getting, but it's important, and it's actually a Google ranking factor.
Okay.
Right. That you want to make sure that your website looks good in mobile. People would be surprised on they see the desktop look.
Yep.
They're like, wow, this looks fantastic. And then you look at it on their phone and it's like not usable.
Yeah.
I have some clients that 90% of their traffic comes through cell phones. So
oh yes. Yeah.
I would say I would ask, hey, you need to design it in desktop and in mobile. I want to know what it's going to look like in mobile.
Okay.
So that way the developer doesn't make guesses.
Right.
Because developers are not the best at design. They're all
oh yeah.
They're the ones wearing cargo shorts. They don't care how it looks.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's too funny.
And then another thing is like think about what services you have. So like a lot of people make the mistake of they take all their services and put it all on one page. Like, these are all the services we offer. Well, it's not a good idea. Like, great that it's on your website. That's cool. But you need to have a dedicated page for every service you offer, because when Google comes to your website, they actually look at the URL. And so let's, joedallo.com / patents, patent attorney, right? Google's reading that URL and realizing that this page is about being a patent, or like about a patent attorney, right? And I would even go even further to say, if you're a local business, you should be thinking about having pages for each city that you want to serve, right? So if you look at, let's use Signature Insurance, since I've already brought them up. We've got a page for every city that they want to target. And so now Google lands on that page, sees that they have information on like Troy, and then it internally links to their auto insurance, umbrella insurance, homeowners insurance.
Okay.
And it associates Troy auto insurance with Signature Insurance. So even though they don't have an office, they do have an office in Troy. Even though they don't have an office, like let's say Birmingham,
right? Yeah,
they're still ranking for Birmingham.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
And so I would say, think that through, and you should see what a sitemap is, what the sitemap looks like. And then I would also, be wary of where you're hosting your website. So if you're going to host your website on GoDaddy, just to give you my opinion on GoDaddy, like top, 2 worst people or worst people in the world are like ISIS, and then a close second is GoDaddy, right? It's just a terrible web host at nickel and dimes. They do a good job marketing, but they nickel and dime their clients, and there's usually small people that don't know, like smaller businesses that don't know better, right?
Yeah,
they're less technical. Host it with a good host that actually speeds up your website.
Okay.
Right. So like we offer hosting, we have our own dedicated servers, and so we'll back up your website daily. We'll make sure there's no malware. We'll give you a free security certificate, which GoDaddy charges for. And you get an hour's worth of work. So let's say that like you have an employees page or a teams page, and you hire or fire someone. Well, it's easy for us to just go in
delete
for
that
you,
part of it.
delete it or add it, and just give us the bio, give us the picture.
That makes sense. No, that's definitely good to know. Okay, so how can people get a hold of you?
So there's a few ways. My domain name is jpda.co. Stands for Joseph Paul Digital Agency.
Okay.
There's actually a button there where you can request an audit. So we'll go through your website, kind of let you know what's going on and
Okay.
like what the effort looks like. And then usually email. So joe@jpda.co.
Okay.
I'm social media awkward. I'm working on that this year. That's my 2023 resolution. So
Yeah.
hopefully you'll be able to reach out to me there, but I'm not typically on social media that much.
Okay. That's fair. All right. Well, if you guys need any SEO services, you can talk to Joe via either email or going on his website and requesting an audit. For any of your estate planning needs, you can contact me at 248-914-8146 or email me at joe@dalloestateplanning.com. Thank you for joining us on this episode with Joe Babi. And Joe knows, so you don't have to.